Where does Wicked, Part 1 end and what's next in Part 2? Audiences have a year to wait between installments of Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande's movie musical Wicked. Fans of the Broadway hit Wicked were surprised when director Jon M announced that his movie adaptation would be split into two separate installments. It became increasingly clear that it would be impossible to wrestle the story of Wicked into a single film, the director, 45, wrote in a social media letter in 2022. With more space, we can tell the story of Wicked as it was meant to be told while bringing even more depth and surprise to the journeys of these beloved characters. So with Wicked, Part 1 flying into theaters on November 22, which parts of those characters' journeys does it cover? And what can audiences expect ahead of next year's Part 2 release? Warning, there are spoilers ahead. Starring Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba, Oz's future Wicked Witch of the West, and Ariana Grande as the eventual Glinda the Good Witch, Wicked, Part 1 spans Act 1 of the Schwartz and Winnie Holzman musical on which it's based. Inspired by Gregory Maguire's 1995 revisionist prequel novel, it's an origin story for the two witches originally created by Baum, who had quite the history before Dorothy tornadoed her way from Kansas to Oz. The movie charts Elphaba and Glinda's journey from enemies to friends, introducing a three-way triangle romance with the dashing Winky Prince Fiero, Jonathan Bailey, and other characters key to Part 2. Elphaba's sister Nessa Rose, Marissa Bode, her crush Bach, Ethan Slater, who yearns after Glinda, a timid lion cub, goat Professor Dr. Dillamond, voiced by Peter Dinklage, and, of course, the so-called wonderful Wizard of Oz, Jeff Goldblum. Spoilers follow, more closely tied to the events of Baum's original novel and 1939 classic The Wizard of Oz. Part 2 will chart Glinda's rise to bubble-riding good witch as she collaborates with the wizard and Madame Morrible to turn Oz against Elphaba. Although still friends behind the scenes, things get complicated when Fiero leaves Glinda for Elphaba and is later captured by soldiers. Nessa Rose, meanwhile, embraces notoriety as Munchkinland's Wicked Witch of the East following the death of her and Elphaba's father, Andy Nyman. The sisters clash, magically turning Nessa's subjugated Bach into a heartless man made of tin. Morrible uses her powers to summon a tornado that, as wizard. Following the discovery that the wizard has caged a helpless Dr. Dillamond, an anguished Elphaba mourns the loss of her professor, sister and lover. For Fiero, she attempts to cast a spell preventing harm, which transforms his body into straw. As he, Bach, and the lion from Part 1 follow Dorothy on her yellow brick road adventures off-screen, Elphaba and Glinda reconcile, with Elphaba accepting that she must die for the sake of Oz's people.